Hello guys, welcome to Africa Gossip Arena. So guys, right about now I'm going to be talking about the trending rumor right now in Nigeria that have actually sparked a lot of reactions. I mean a lot of reaction on social media concerning the arrest of barrister Dele Farotimi by Chief Doctor Barrister Aare Babalola and the alleged 50 million naira bail granted to Dele Farotimi by the court for the case of defamation of character. And although Femi Falana have also come out to speak about how Barrister Dele Farotimi was actually aligned in court like a common criminal, being seen with handcuff in his two hands have actually caused a lot of reactions right now in Nigeria and on social media entirely, due to the point that recently an House of Rep member who actually brutalized an Uber driver in Abuja was actually aligned in court, in which he was granted a bail of 600,000 naira. And also, not only that, guys, very dark man himself was arrested due to the point that the police people found him impersonating their character when he was seen wearing police uniform in one of his recent video, and he was arrested, in which the police granted him a bail out of 2 million naira. Although when I say that the law of Nigeria is actually working against the poor, where the rich people in Nigeria are only free from the law, some people will always tell me, why are you trying to say that? But for instance, let me clear your doubt. Recently, the past governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Doza Bello, was actually aligned in court by the EFCC over a case of money laundering charge being leveled against him by the EFCC that he actually embezzled when he was still in office as a governor in Kogi State. But Yahaya Bello was not actually seen with an handcuff when he was actually brought to court for alignment. Even at the court premises, this man was seen going around having an handshake with different people in the court premises. How much more Barrister Dele Farotimi, a barrister for that matter, being seen with an handcuff, being pushed like a common criminal in the court premises by the Nigerian police for a case of defamation of character. What a shame. Although, let me leave you to watch this video to the end, and don't forget to drop your opinion on the comment section. Feel free to subscribe to this channel because subscription is free. Turn on your notification bell so that you'll be able to see our updates anytime we post a new video.
News reaching us now confirms that Dele Farotimi has been granted bail of 50 million naira shorty in the like sum with someone with landed property, and the case has been adjourned to the 29th of January 2025. Well, the news has been confirmed that Dele Farotimi, who was earlier detained, has been granted bail of 50 million naira shorty in the like sum with someone with landed property, and the case has been adjourned to the 29th of January 2025, and that is on Dele Farotimi's detention on alleged defamation, who is a human rights lawyer. He has been granted bail in Ekiti State, and it's a bail of 50 million naira shorty, and the case has also been adjourned to the 29th of January 2025. And of course, News Central give you abreast on how the case unfolds from here.
So if you compare Falana versus VDM and Afe Babalola versus Dele Farotimi, you now appreciate the things we have been discussing all along about having a civic space in Nigeria. So Falana went straight to court. He felt defamed by one young individual and then went straight to court. He did not breach process. Now, don't see this as support for Falana in this case against VDM. It is just to appreciate what civil process should be. Now, look at Afe Babalola versus Dele Farotimi. Afe Babalola has just made it very easy for the public to believe nearly everything Dele Farotimi alleged in that book, that you can just through away due process, use your influence and manipulate outcome. In VDM's case now, we see prosecution. In Afe Babalola's case against Farotimi, we perceive persecution. Know the difference. Prosecution versus persecution. Now, in VDM's case now, whatever outcome that generates, people tend to perceive it as fair. But Afe Babalola already opened minds of people to prejudice outcome. They abducted the defendant from Lagos, parceled him down through police courier service to Ekiti, where the man who is the complainant is sitting. That suggests that it will be the complainant, the prosecutor, and the judge at the same time in his own case. Now, what did Farotimi say in that book that is not already playing out just as alleged in the book? The next question is, how will elders, you say respect elders, respect elders. Okay, we respect them. An elder like Afe Babalola, how will it be easy for them to condemn that sacrilege that happened in court the other day, wherein some masked police agents of the government invaded the courtroom and abducted Shure right in front of a judge? I was in court that day. You will pity that judge that day, a female judge. Asanda was almost following her the way he flew in the air. So when a senior lawyer who is supposed to be custodian and people who uphold respect for court are the ones desecrating it, you see why people resort to jungle justice and self-help now? You don't let us respect the court again. Somebody who sends armed police to another state to go and invade a law firm to abduct the senior partner of a chamber in the presence of staff, seizing their phone, pushing them and muzzling them out of the, that person will not have the moral ground to condemn injustice committed even right in the premises of the court. So even if Dele Farotimi had defamed Afe Babalola, Baba had not by himself ruined the merits in the case already. It becomes oppressive when you ignore due process, you breach it, you truncate it, to go and say, I will show you who I am. Do you know who I am? That becomes oppressive. Now, this has degenerated into a stage where Gen Z on social media are the one now lecturing Afe Babalola. That name has almost become an institution in Nigeria until this incident. Now, Gen Zs on social media are the ones lecturing Afe Babalola on civil so that is why you should not be using power and influence at all times. Not because you are weak, not because you don't have the access or influence, but because justice should not only be done, but be seen and perceived as truly and fairly done. But when you want to twist and use your influence and power and everything, you will ruin the merit even if there is any in your case. And that is exactly what Chief Afe Babalola has inadvertently or maybe just deliberately done. Does he want to ruin everything left? If you have a chance, Google Afe Babalola at Oputa panel, and he was the counsel to Obasanjo at the time, against the Kutis family during a public panel. But in all of this, let's learn something, that you are not using police or soldier even as a general or lieutenant. It's not because you are weak or you don't know your rights, but because when you do it and follow due process, so that it doesn't look like you just want to oppress another person. Trying to use oppressive power and influence, you want to sit down in Ekiti state and place order to kidnap another person from his own chamber and courier him down to where you are, where you can be both the complainant, the prosecutor, and the judge at the same time, cannot be seen as a fair process no matter what.
Section 39 of the Constitution and Article 9 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights Act guarantee the right of every citizen, everybody in Nigeria, to freedom of expression. But it is not an absolute right.
What do you mean, absolute right?
For instance, Sonny, my right ends where your own begins. In other words, I cannot take advantage of my right to freedom of speech.
If I express myself,
to malign you or defame you.
Okay.
I can also not take advantage of my freedom of speech to go out there and incite people to violence. So there is a limit to every freedom guaranteed by the Constitution, be it right to personal liberty, right to fair hearing, right to property, right to freedom of association, and so on and so forth. All those rights are limited.
Human rights activist and lawyer Chidi Odinkalu has caused a frenzy on social media with his article titled "In the Matter of Dele Farotimi" before the Star Chamber, after revealing that the Ekiti State's criminal law of 2021 does not include the crime of criminal libel or defamation, which human rights advocate Dele Farotimi is being charged for. The lawyer further stated that Section 70 of the law only contains a crime of causing disaffection or breach of the peace through offensive publication, which is punishable by 6 months in prison. And that is, however, not the issue in Farotimi's case. Odinkalu also stressed in his article that the charges presented by the Nigerian police force did not also disclose a crime over which a magistrate in Ekiti State could purport to exercise lawful jurisdiction, and that despite the absence of jurisdiction, the magistrate proceeded with undue haste to order the remand of Dele Farotimi in prison until December 10th, a day ironically set aside to mark International Human Rights Day. Well, let's take some reactions. This is from Atedo Peter's side. He wrote, "I consider this article by Chidi Odinkalu to be compulsory reading for those who still wonder what all the fuss is about. Read Dele Farotimi being abducted in Lagos to appear before an Ekiti magistrate. Thousands of Nigerians are charged to court every day, and many of us do not get involved if they are not remanded in custody for a misdemeanor unnecessarily. We leave them to defend themselves before a court that we presume will give them a fair hearing. We only get excited when we fear that some rich man or man might be using their privileged position in society to get the police to go after a poorer person. Hashtag free Dele Farotimi." While Mood wrote, "If truly the Ekiti State criminal law of 2021 no longer recognizes criminal libel or defamation, Dele Farotimi's arrest raises serious legal and constitutional concerns. Was his arrest based on outdated laws or misrepresentation of the current legal framework? Transparency and adherence to the rule of law are essential to maintain public trust in the justice system. Unfortunately, the ship of trust has since sailed." Well, Dele Farotimi's arrest continues to spark controversy over the powers of the judiciary and the rule of law. An old video of Adamu Bukachiwa, the senator representing Bauchi North, has now resurfaced on social media, where he stated during a valedictory session of the 9th Senate that he often influenced his wife, Zainab Bukachiwa, a former president of the Court of Appeal's decisions while she was in office, an accusation she vehemently denied.
I know, I look at faces in this chamber whom have come to me and sought for my help when my wife was the president of the Court of Appeal. We know ourselves. I must say that, okay, to round up, since that's what you want me to do, I will do that. And I must thank particularly my wife, whose freedom and independence I encroached upon while she was in office. And she has been very tolerant and accepted my encroachment and extended her help to my colleagues.
Distinguished, please, I don't think this is a good idea going this direction. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea.
All right, Dr. Vati, you know that this video will come up because it is quite apt, given the time that we are in right now in Nigeria with the judiciary, Dele Farotimi's arrest, and that book. But what happened to this investigation, really, with Bukachiwa? And I also want to find out whether or not you read through that article by Chidi Odinkalu and those laws in Ekiti State that, Dele Farotimi is being charged for, whether or not they're appropriate.
Well, nothing came out of the Bukachiwa.
Bukachiwa,
and I think the husband also reversed himself, that he didn't quite mean it that way.
That he didn't mean it?
Yeah, and the woman and the learned judge also, of course, denied that anything of such ever happened, having had a distinguished career on the bench. But let's deal with the article by Chidi Odinkalu, and so many other articles that have been written and generating interest. The matter is now of public interest. That's why you find everybody commenting. Well, Chidi Onikalu has a PhD in law, so
yes,
he knows what he's talking about. But the issues he has raised, let's just break them down very quickly. He's talking about jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is very important. It's the legal capacity of a court to take decision on any particular matter, and jurisdiction is properly defined. Magistrate courts, for example, cannot inquire into land matters, and so on and so forth. So he's saying that a magistrate court does not have the jurisdiction to inquire into federal cases. And he cites the example of Justice Anyebe, a 1986 case, to prepare the grounds for this, a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court and was eventually the ruling of the Court of Appeal was reversed on the basis of jurisdiction.
Okay.
2, he says in the piece that Ekiti State has nothing like criminal defamation in its laws. The same case, as it were, with Lagos State and Edo State, also. And then number 3, he says that the burden of proof is on the prosecutor, to prove that indeed Chief Afe Babalola has been defamed in a criminal manner. Section 373 of the Criminal Code defines criminal defamation as something that can cause a breach of the peace. And that's why in one of the 16 charges, you see the police saying that, look, the defamation could result in a breach of the peace, because if you say the entire judiciary is corrupt, then of course people may rise against the judiciary. Now, this is Chidi Onikalu's views. Other views have been expressed.
Yeah.
Take, for example, INESCN, yesterday, I think, responded to Chidi Onikalu. That's why I'm just trying to cite another view so that people don't just say, oh, because this person has spoken, that is the opinion. If you keep 5 lawyers in a room, they will have different opinions depending on the authority that they cite. Now, INESCN, for example, argues that Onikalu is wrong because he's talking about who took the case to the court. State courts cannot prosecute federal offenses. And he says in this particular case, the prosecutor is not the Attorney General of Ekiti State. It is the Inspector General of Police. So that's one argument from INESCN. 2, he says that the Anyebe case has been overtaken by events and has been whittled down in Tanko versus the state, which is a 2011 case. In other words, there's a later precedent that should be cited rather than the 1986 case. And he said, in fact, it is not true that state courts cannot try, federal offenses, depending on jurisdiction. Finally, he says that the statutory competence to prosecute federal offenses, reside also in the state court. So there are 2 different sides to the matter.
Okay.
But the matter is already before the court. If it will probably go from the magistrate court to the high court. And the lawyers, Farotimi's lawyers, if jurisdiction is the issue, they can bring it up. And jurisdiction is something you can bring up at any point in the trial of a particular matter. And it will have effect if the court decides that there is an absence of a jurisdiction, because it means that that particular court does not have the legal capacity to try that particular matter. So we just leave it to the courts. What I fear about is the fact that what I'm afraid of is that, in fact, the breach of peace, that the police are talking about may well happen. Because now, I think I saw a statement by Omoyele Sowore saying that tomorrow, I think tomorrow is December 10th, that that Afe Babalola's chambers in Lagos should be, picketed. Isn't that some kind of...
well, I mean, that's a legal protest.
2, the issue about justification. Because that's the strongest defense in law, in defamation.
Yeah.
Some civil society groups, they've now gone to WikiLeaks to go and bring out evidence that WikiLeaks reported certain things about Chief Afe Babalola. Well, it's for the court to also determine whether that amounts to any evidence, and whether hearsay evidence is admissible in this particular matter.
Okay.
So let's leave it to the court.
We'll see how it goes. But was it only jurisdiction that Onikalu put out there? I don't know if it was only jurisdiction. I think there was also the case of whether or not criminal defamation is a crime.
Yeah.
So besides jurisdiction, the fact that what he's being accused of is not...
he cited that. But also, what I want to talk about, not about he cited that, what I want to talk about is also the what's it called, the misstep in the procedure. Because now the police have now filed another case at the Federal High Court. I'm sure they probably had seen that they had a misstep in the first procedure arresting Dele Farotimi. So many questions will suffice. Why was the Attorney General of the state not in this in the first place? if the police was trying to prosecute him, going to arrest him to be prosecuted in Ekiti State. And secondly, the fact that you took a man all the way from Lagos against his way to Ekiti State, prosecuted under a law that does not exist in Ekiti State. You know, because until Chidi Kalu's revelation, which kudos to him for, all of us on this table erroneously believe that criminal defamation is part of the law in Ekiti State. That was the lie that we're made to believe.
Yeah, that was the main.
Until
we had raised the Lagos one.
in fact, we had raised the Lagos one, but we said no, it
one.
is actually applicable in Ekiti. Until Chidi Kalu brought that revelation. And I did go back to study. In fact, I saw all of it. It was only that section 70 that I talked about. I talked about public breach based on a publication.
And that's a
so
6 month
the fact that it doesn't exist there. And the Dele team probably might bring that up because it's a very important point. Secondly, as regards the point Chidi also raised, that the burden of proof will be on those that are prosecuting. Yeah. The burden of proof will be on the police that came to arrest, as also prosecuting, to be able to go one step further, to prove that he actually defamed, Chief Afe Babalola. Going another step further, it's also the case of the human rights breach that is filed. Because I think that's even a double whammy now, because now that we now know that Dele's right was not only violated, he was taken against his will for a law that does not exist in the state law. And the magistrates, and that's why the NJC too should also come into this. The magistrate that sat down and was quick not to give bail and left him in incarceration for a law that does not exist in the state law. That's another part to it.
And
yes, I know because...
And he, even the magistrate court...
Not having jurisdiction and sitting on the matter and remanding him in custody. And now the police has finally said, okay, let's push it up. Because at first, it wasn't a case against the IGP. It was after 2 or 3 days, after they had remanded Dele based on a law that does not exist, that the police quickly go to the Federal High Court and that says about the IGP, and they are now charging him based on the federal law of cyber stalking and all of that, which is another double whammy. So there are many missteps and loopholes in all of this. Like I've heard the argument and the counter argument, by all parties and all of that. But most importantly, it will be incumbent on them to be able to prove that Chief Afe Babalola has been defamed. And also, Babalola Council granted a press conference in Ekiti where they were saying that Dele will have to prove. No, the burden of proof is not on Dele. It's on those that are prosecuting Dele that will have to prove. So that was not well said.
All right.
By the council. So there are many dimensions to this matter.
Always International Day for Human Rights, which is...
Assad must prove. All these matters will be worked out in court. What Afe Babalola Chambers, in the statement they issued, is that, look, people should not take over the matter in the media. It's before the court. And a strict yearly will not make any difference.
Well, so that's why Babalola has no right to tell us about street level because the matter is already the court of public opinion.
All right.
So we have a different right. Just like this person wrote against what's it called, on Chidi Kalu's view. That's everybody wrote. There's nothing called street yearly. We all comment on the matter. So he has no right to tell us that.
Well, even carpenters and vulcanizers,
everybody,
they are commenting. Even Tuke drivers, they are commenting. Yes,
but this is the joy. This is the great thing about democracy and what we are practicing here. And everyone's opinion must be respected as well. I mean, I think you wanted to make a very important point.
Yes, I was going to say that it was pointed out tomorrow, which is the day. No, because I mentioned it.
Dr. Martin, what is happening?
Tomorrow is International Day for Human Rights.
Mm.
And so when we're looking at human rights under the microscope now, we're looking at this case and how it infringes on his human right. It is quite ironic that he will be in court tomorrow, that is meant to be on the day of protest, International Day for Human Rights. Just to say that. And when we talk about upholding the human rights of Nigerians, it's important to also put that in context. What I'll just say in summary is that a lot of people have talked about Chief Afe Babalola's right to defend himself. Any man, for that matter. Any man.
Yes,
but what we are calling for is that due process must be followed, and it mustn't seem as if a different set of laws apply to different people based on their status, whether they are elite or whether they come forward, whether they are poor. Everybody, the law should make everybody equal. So whether or not you're offended, it should be due process should be followed. That's what people are saying.
I love what this case has brought to the public space at this moment. Dr. Martin is laughing. But I want to come to you with this story as well. We'll take another story. A grieving family has accused the Bagada General Hospital in Lagos of negligence and baby swapping following the death of a newborn. The baby's aunt, identified on X as Aji Lola, alleged that the hospital staff delayed care after the mother was admitted on the 1st of December and acted unprofessionally throughout. Well, according to her, the baby, who was born with breathing difficulties, was placed in a neonatal unit but passed away days later. The family further claimed that they were given the wrong baby's body at the morgue. The incident, shared with photos on social media, has sparked public outrage, with calls for an investigation. I mean, this is exactly what I am doing here. I am calling for a serious investigation to this serious allegation. I mean, can you imagine the whole story? I'd love for you to, I know that you read the story. I'd like for you to share your perspective.
I saw it first on X where the aunt had come out. I mean, obviously looking for a platform to be able to get some form of justice following what happened at Bagada General Hospital. The detail of the story you already highlighted, OG. But the reason why a number of people jumped up, and if you read the comments under the narration of what happened, were people sharing their own experiences at whether it's Bagada General Hospital or a public hospital in Lagos or any other part of the world. Bagada General Hospital is one of 28 secondary care hospitals managed by the Lagos State Ministry of Health. Now, the detail says that not only did the child die, but it was as a result of negligence on the part of the medical practitioners who managed that case. So it was an avoidable death, according to the narration of this woman. The MD of Bagada General Hospital has come out to refute these allegations, saying that they actually followed due process, they did what was right, and there was no incident of negligence. So there are two sides to this story now. One accusing them of negligence and leading to death. The other saying, no, they actually did all they could do possible. But what will then now settle this matter is an investigation. But beyond settling this matter, OG, is that Nigeria and Lagos State in particular should reduce the incidence of maternal mortality, especially avoidable deaths, where in other parts of the country, a woman going to have a baby or going to the labor room should not ultimately mean a step or at death's door, whereby, especially when a case of negligence has been cited. I say this because the same Bagada General Hospital last year, FIJ reported that a woman, Chinenye Onyekule, also passed away as a result of negligence. Yeah. So an investigation was done. Her family came out and was based on the fact that they didn't have blood. They were performing a procedure on her and they didn't have access to blood. You know, simple things that in other parts of the world should be really basic. Yes. So what we're saying going forward is this, beyond an investigation, is that erring doctors should be actually charged to court. So there's a case currently in court, involuntary manslaughter is one of the charges that can be brought up against them if they are found culpable. If we don't make examples of these medical practitioners, we'll continue to see cases of unfortunate or avoidable deaths. Nigeria is currently top 5 in the world with regards to maternal mortality. 57,000 women die, at least according to statistics, in Nigeria in the labor room. That is a number that's too high. We can't afford to continue like this. And if it happens in Lagos, Center of Excellence, imagine what happens in other states. So this is a big call to the Lagos State Ministry of Health and the Lagos State Governor to please investigate this matter, bring out a report, and if found culpable, let the doctors or medical practitioners pay for it.
Absolutely. Well said, Ayo. We pray for succor for the family. And we await the investigation and actually a statement from the Bagada Hospital in Lagos. We'll take another story. The First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, over the weekend was awarded an honorary doctorate of management degree by the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. The award was presented during the institution's 36th convocation ceremony, recognizing her significant contributions to education, national development, and humanity. The First Lady was honored alongside the Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, who also received the honorary Doctor of Management degree, as well as the Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, who was honored with a Doctor of Technology. The First Lady graced the occasion with a 50 million naira endowment fund for the best female graduating student. Expressing gratitude on behalf of the awardees, she dedicated her recognition to the girl child, emphasizing the importance of education. Congratulations to our First Lady, Dr. Senator Oluremi Tinubu. Now she's a doctor alongside
Dr. Senator Farma.
Oh yeah, I like that. Dr. Senator Farma, First Lady Oluremi Tinubu. Absolutely, and she's doing amazing as always. I mean, that last statement where she, empowering, or the empowerment of the girl child is absolutely amazing. And she continues to give, really. Congratulations to Dr. Oluremi Tinubu. Did you want to make a statement? Well, and obviously to the governors.
Yes, congratulations are in order. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, former First Lady of Lagos State. In Lagos State, she had, I think it was called the New Era Foundation.
Yes, it's still on. Yeah.
Now she has that was her legacy in Lagos State. Then now she has the Renewed Hope Foundation. She's encouraging farming. She's, been very active in promoting causes in the direction of gender equity and, and education. So there's a lot to be said by the university orator, in our honor. And then, of course, in terms of management, she's doing an excellent job if I may say so, of managing the President of the Federal Republic. Proverbs 18, verse 22, tells us that he who finds a good wife finds a good thing and favor from God. There's no way, the Tinubu administration will be assessed, and Mrs. Remi Tinubu's contributions will not be noted in very bold paragraphs. However, this for the universities. She's been given this award in Futo. Between December 12 and 14, she'll be given another honorary doctorate by the Femi Babalola University, our alma mater, by the way. But some of these universities, they become very notorious with the way they give out the honorary doctorates. These are degrees given honoris causa, and I know council, in some university councils, it can be very controversial because to find justification to give out the awards could generate a lot of debate in council. And this particular university, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, has been very notorious in giving people honorary doctorates and giving people professorships. I don't want to mention the name of a certain professor. I know. I don't remember the name. I know. I want to mention it. Let me finish. I want to mention it. Use your mouth to say it. They've been very notorious in giving out professorships and doctorates and all that. But I think strong cases can be made for some people. Some of these, awards raise questions so that the universities don't think, we will get a gift if you give XYZ politician a doctorate award.
But that's the reason why they give that in the first place. For some, there's a prize on it now.
All right. I mean, I absolutely believe that our first lady. All right, let's move on to our next story. Congratulations, Dr. Oluremi Tinubu.